It's Maizie from Show Low Public Library, and we are back in the Show Low TV studio today bringing you a brand new show. This is Healthy Cooking with Show Low Public Library, and I've got a special guest with me today. I'll let him tell you a little bit more about himself. He's going to be our chef for the continuing show, so you may not always see me, but there'll always be somebody here doing this together.
Hello, my name is William Crawford. I am the culinary arts teacher at Show Low High School. Show Low High School, through me, is helping to be a part of this. I actually go by a different name. I go by the Smokin Bill. We're going to be doing some healthy cooking on this show. My favorite way of cooking things is to actually smoke them, so we'll talk about some different things, and we'll introduce some equipment as we're going through, because some of this is going to be new, and it is a cooking show, and we want you to learn about different things. Today we will be making applesauce. First thing you need to do is make sure and wash your hands. We have already taken care of that before the show. We washed our hands, made sure they were dry. Everything's good. We've pre-washed our apples, so you want to wash and peel your apples. We have got our apples. Some of them are already cut and peeled. Some of them are just peeled. Some of them are partially peeled, and we're going to let Maizie continue to peel that one. She's going to be using a peeler. I have pre-cut my apples, and I'm going to be using a paring knife to peel the outside of the apple. Whichever way you want to do it is kind of up to you. The safer method is with a peeler, but you can get cut by a peeler, so anytime you're using sharp objects, please remember that you are using a sharp object. That's why while I'm doing this, I stop, because I don't want to be cutting while I'm not watching what I'm doing. You want to make sure you're being safe at all times. Knives are really sharp. Peelers are actually sharp enough to cut you.
I will vouch for that. I had a bad experience one time.
So we are going to cut our apples into a large dice. A large dice is 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch by 3/4 of an inch. It's kind of a cube. You'll notice that whenever I use the knife and I'm pushing on the back side of it, I am never going to touch it this way. That is extremely unsafe. Push everything this way, that way you don't get your fingers across the front of the blade. It keeps you safe at all times. We don't want anybody getting cut on our cooking shows because they're not being safe at all times. Okay, now we're going to peel out our centers.
You don't want no seeds in your applesauce.
We're going to put all of these back in the bowl for now till I get them all cut up. Do you want to finish cutting this apple, please?
Yes, I can.
I'm going to put these on our clean table and give you that.
I'm going to do
Here, sure.
a knife.
And I like the fact that we have somebody here. These I don't think are ever intended to be by yourself. We kind of would like you to be working with your family. Moms, dads, be helping your kids make these items. Don't be leaving them alone. Especially in this time right now of coronavirus, where we can actually be suffering from over-isolation. It might be nice to be able to be together as a family and doing things as a family.
So this recipe came from the recipe book that came with our cart, which on the front of the cart it says the Charlie Cart Project, and so we got this little mobile kitchen through grant funds at the library, and the plan was to have in-person cooking shows, which maybe when things are normal we'll do that, but for now we're going to have this cooking show on Show Low TV. This recipe came from the little booklet, which when you guys are watching this, you can check the library's Facebook page, and we will, those are ready for you to finish.
Beautiful.
We will post the recipe on our Facebook page, that way you guys can see it. And there's also instructions in the booklet if you're a teacher or you're going to do this with a big group. I'll include those too. And so there's different steps and quantities and stuff like that. We're making just enough for like us to eat. I think it makes 3 cups. So I'll put all that on our Facebook page. And the other thing thing that's going to be available to you guys, check our Facebook page, which is Show Low Public Library. For more info, is we're going to have take-home kits that will have this stuff in here that you guys will be able to pick up and then make the applesauce when you're watching this video, so you can do it at home. So check our Facebook page frequently. You can follow us, you can like our page, you can sign up for notifications, and then you'll know when the stuff's going to be ready and when the video is going to go out. So this recipe was a first grade level in the book. So there's 5 different levels, and this one was one of the easiest levels. That's why we picked it. So you can do it by yourself, or you can do it with your family and your kids. We almost ready for the apples?
Yeah, well, we're going to start cutting them up here in a minute into our large dice. We need to introduce the kinds of apples we're using, so we're going to have Maisie get them out of our little dish sink over here where we washed them.
So
we have what are known as Fuji apples, and the reason we're giving you the style of the apple is so that you understand, because when we're cooking the apples, we're actually going to have a taste testing session where we're going to actually take them so you can see what they look like. I mean, it's hard to tell these apples apart. They're different. They taste different. We have a Honeycrisp apple,
which is this one,
which is that one, and then we have a Fuji apple again.
There they are next to each other.
And then we have a Granny Smith apple,
which is green.
Which is green, and they're all going to have a different flavor of tartness and sweetness. Okay, where did the big knife go?
Oh, I hit it.
All right, so large dice. You've cubed them all like this. You've cut them into slices. And we're just going to be tossing them back in the bowl. Now, if you were in my cooking class, we'd be a little more specific about their sizes, but with the fact that we're cooking with kids, we're not so much worried about that. My kids in class actually have to do a large dice exactly the size it's supposed to be.
Did you get out the measuring tape?
Yeah.
Oh. Well, at least they'll know when they grow up and they're cooking, they can be fancy.
That's right. Actually, there's a reason why you want everything the same size. Do you know why?
So that it cooks evenly?
So it cooks evenly. Also, in certain recipes, if you thought about this, instead of, let's say we were making applesauce, what would we were making potato broccoli soup? Would we really want the potatoes this big so it would fill up the entire spoon?
No.
Why not?
Well, because then how are you going to get it in your mouth with all the other good stuff in there?
That's what would be missing, would be all the other good stuff.
Get it all on there so you can get it in.
Right, so you have different sizes that you make things simply to make it so that they are the way they are supposed to be, and you get everything with everything. We don't want differences.
Looks like we're almost done cutting up all the apples. Almost. There's a couple little ones hanging out down there in the bowl, trying to hide. They don't want to become applesauce. I've never made homemade applesauce. I always just buy it in the jar or in the little
It is better.
cups.
It is more healthy if you make it yourself. You can actually, we're going to give you a specific recipe about making it at home. Is if you don't want it to be as sweet, take away some of the sugar. If you want to change the sweetness and make it, instead of with regular sugar, make it with brown sugar, add a little maple syrup.
That sounds good.
There's a lot of different things you can do to it to make it a little bit different instead of having to just have applesauce.
And we're going to be putting cinnamon in ours, so ours is going to be cinnamon applesauce. So I guess you could do no cinnamon if you didn't like that.
Right, if you didn't like cinnamon, you could take it out. And we're going to be introducing some little pieces of equipment because some of it's going to be new, and we're going to be talking about it while we're using it so that people are aware. All right, so we have our apples. Over here we have 1 teaspoon of sugar. 1 teaspoon of sugar. Now we've taken the time, actually like a real cooking show, to pre-measure some of this out so it's sitting aside. Sprinkle that over your apples. We have 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. 1 teaspoon of cinnamon. Sprinkle that over your apples. It's a lot of cinnamon, by the way.
That looks like a lot of cinnamon.
Okay, and then you're going to kind of mix it all up, and you're going to let it sit. While it's sitting, you're going to get to juice the apples.
Get the juice. The lemons.
Got to teach you a trick. If you ever want to juice a lemon, lime, orange, whatever, crush it before you cut it. It pre-juices it, so it's easier to actually juice.
Nice.
So you're going to want to crush it. And we need 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, so we're only going to cut 1 at first, see where that gets us.
And you guys can't smell it at home, but I can smell the lemon juice coming out of the lemon. It smells really good.
If you ever want to get really good lemon juice, use the zest of the outside of the lemon. There's actually more flavor in the outside, and that's what you're smelling is the outside of the lemon, not the actual juice from inside of it.
We are going to use our little juicer. Is that what this is called?
That is called a juicer.
Okay, and I believe I'm just going to stick it in here and kind of squeeze it if it doesn't fly everywhere. And the juice is going to go into here.
And we only need 2 teaspoons, so we're not gonna do the other lemon just yet. We'll just hang on to it for a little bit.
And the lemon juice just gives it flavor, or it keeps the color of the apples too?
It keeps the color of the apples, and it adds some acid. We want to put that on there.
Looks like there's going to be enough.
Here, we're going to cheat.
I didn't want to spill it.
Now, if you don't want to crush your lemons, you can buy just lemon juice.
We want it to be fancy and show you guys the juicer thing.
We do need to talk about some equipment. Some of it is pretty standard, like our measuring cups. They're pretty standard. These are plastic. You can get any kind you want. Then you've got your standard measuring spoons. They're all labeled so that you know what they are. So we have our lemon juice in there. We did not need the other half of the lemon. We did not need that.
Okay.
Okay, so we now need our pot.
Okay, we're gonna get the stock.
Okay, we're gonna introduce this device right here. This is known as an induction burner. Now, an induction burner is a little bit different than a standard household cooking item. There's a few people that have some. They're kind of expensive. They're about $200, $250. So most people don't get them. They're the ones you see on TV where they don't stay really hot when you turn them off. They still do stay hot, but they use magnetism instead of regular electric like heating elements or gas. They are able to be exactly timed and put onto a very set temperature, and so by using the magnetism they can do that. Okay, so we need to turn ours on, and we want it on medium-high heat.
So, function?
Okay, so we're going to be at 7, which would be medium-high heat.
Because ours goes up to 10.
So we're going to put our apples in here. And we're going to put in half a cup of water. Now, I'm ultra conservative and I like to save things. So I'm going to wash out my bowl to make sure I don't lose any of the sugar and cinnamon that was in it. We did forget a spoon.
Spoons are right in there. So how long does our apples cook for our applesauce?
Well, they have 2 sections. They cook for a minute over medium-high heat.
Okay.
This one does have a timer function on it. We're not going to use it. We're just going to kind of watch our timer up here on the wall. And then it cooks for 10 to 15 minutes. And then we're going to have a little sampling session using our different apples. We're going to have a sampling session using our different apples. When we're done here, we're not going to peel them, we're just going to cut them. We want to taste the different apples because They all have a different flavor to them. Some of them are tart, some of them are really sweet, and we want to make sure that we don't have just a sweet applesauce. Again, that goes back to...
that's not medium dice.
No, that is not large dice. That's whole wedge.
He was hiding. I told you guys, he was hiding in the bottom of the bowl. It smells really good, and there's steam coming off of it a little bit already, so it smells good.
Yeah, I think we're going to cover it because I think our pot's a little big for what we're doing.
Okay.
So you may want to shrink your pot down, not go with this big of a pot.
This is the one that comes with the kitchen.
With the kitchen, so.
Okay, so we do it for about a minute, which has been now.
Which is a minute. Then we turn it down to medium.
So we have it on 4 out of 10.
So I'm going to have it on 4. And while it is cooking, we are going to use our camera people as well as us, and we are going to taste some apples. So if you got the kit from if you got the kit from the cafeteria.
It is going to be like the cafeteria from the library.
From the library. They should have given you a couple of extra apples of each one so that you can participate in this as well. Oops.
I haven't had a green apple in a long time either. I am partial to Honeycrisp apples because I'm a little bit snobbish, and those are the only ones I will eat. Once I ate one the first time, I was never going back, ever.
We don't have green apples in there.
Oh, we can put some in there.
That's what we're going to do.
We forgot to add the green apple into our applesauce, so we're going to add it in there before we taste it. We got sidetracked with too many things going on. So what's your favorite kind of apple?
Honeycrisp. But then I like to use, like this recipe, I like to use different kind of apples, even when I make like apple pies. I don't want them all to be the same. I want the apple pie recipe to have like lots of different flavors. It should be tart, it should be sweet, it should be tangy. So I use different apples when I make apple pie, but if I'm going to eat an apple, I like a Honeycrisp apple. I'm a big fan of the traditional like Red Delicious, Golden Delicious.
The green one seems like it's harder than the other ones.
It is. Granny Smith, they're tart. Granny Smith apples are tart, as opposed to a Honeycrisp apple, which is going to be really, really sweet.
I like to cut mine up with my little apple slicer, and then I dip them in peanut butter and I eat them. That's like my little snack. Even though it's healthy for you, I guess peanut butter is,
peanut butter is healthy unless you're allergic to it.
Yeah, but I like to dip them in there and then eat them. That's my little snack for myself.
See, I'm not. I'll give you the unhealthy version. Caramel.
Oh yeah. I could go for some caramel apples. I wonder if you could put caramel in your applesauce.
Sure.
That would be really good, you guys. So we're going to cube some of the green apple up, and we're going to add it into here since we didn't get it in there before. So I'll open the lid here in a second and we'll add it.
Since we were defective.
And it's kind of bubbling in there, getting all juicy and happy. So
you can smell it now, really cooking.
Yeah, that smells.
You can especially smell the cinnamon coming off of it.
And I'm going to give it a quick little stir, just so they're nice incorporated in there. It's making a lot of juice.
Yeah, the apples will break down as they cook. They'll make more juice. That's why you don't need a ton of water. It's because you're going to use the apples to cook down. Now there are other ways to peel an apple. You can actually blanch it if you're a little more high-tech in your cooking.
And then you just like pick it off?
Well, that's where you boil. You put the apple whole in really, really hot water. Leave it in there for about a minute, and then take it out and drop it in ice water. And it peels the skin right off of it.
Nice.
Without actually cooking the apple. It cooks the outside of it, but...
Well, and then I've seen people also have those like machine things, like they hook on the counter and like you put it in there and then you like turn it and it peels it and the core comes out and it makes it all like in one. That might be good if you're gonna make a lot of pie. So we're cutting them up, we're gonna try them and we'll see what they taste like. So we'll have 3 different kinds of apples in our applesauce.
And you can have as many as you want. You could have like 4 or 5 different apples, depending on where you go to get your apples.
So our applesauce, I think it's been cooking for about 5 or 6 minutes. So we're through about a third of the time if we're gonna do 15 minutes. So our applesauce has been cooking for about 15 minutes, and we're gonna show you guys what it looks like. We also went ahead and mashed it. Our pan's a little bit big, so obviously if you're doing this at home, it'd be a little bit smaller and you'd be mashing it in there. We're gonna show you what it looks like now that it's all mashed up, so it's ready to eat. We're gonna taste it here in a few minutes, but it's got some nice color on it and it smells great. You guys, we need smell-o-vision. Is that a thing? Someone needs to invent that. So we're going to taste some of our apples that went into it, and then we're going to taste the applesauce and see what they all taste like.
But a little bit before we do that, I forgot to mention that on an induction burner, this has only been off for a few minutes. It's still warm, but you can touch it. I mean, it's not, you don't want to put your hand on it, but the pans have to be magnetic. So if you have like aluminum pans and you buy an induction burner, you're going to have to buy stainless steel or cast iron or something that is actually magnetic. An induction burner won't work with like aluminum pans, solid copper pans it won't work with because the copper just doesn't work right. So we have our apples. We have a Granny Smith apple, and if you're participating in this fully, this is a tart apple. Again, we use different kinds of apples, so our applesauce has lots of flavor.
This one's good. It's really firm, but it's got like apple taste, and then you get like this little pinch from the tartness. It's good. It's good.
This is a Fuji apple. We're leaving the skins on them so you can see the coloring on the outside.
I think I like this one better.
Fuji apples are really sweet.
Not quite as tart as the Granny Smith. It's just kind of sweet straight all the way through instead of kind of normal and then that little pinch.
And the skins aren't as hard as a Granny Smith apple.
This is my favorite. Your favorite too.
My favorite is the Honeycrisp apple. In fact, when I went and bought apple trees for my yard, I bought 2 Honeycrisp apple trees so I can quit buying them.
This one's my favorite, and if you've had one of these, you know why this is probably your favorite too, because it's really, really sweet, and there's no tartness at all, really. It's just kind of this mellow sort of
And the skin
sweetness.
is really, really soft.
So it's good. So all of those apples went into our applesauce, so we're gonna pull it out now. We're gonna taste it. Here we go. You want to dish? And we will taste test. We're going to let our camera people taste test too because we're nice like that. Okay, so get ourselves some spoons.
Spoon.
And we're going to taste. So one of the things you can do if your apples are not cooperating is you can put your applesauce in the blender, and that will make it a little bit smoother and go a little bit quicker.
And you can make it as smooth as you want in a blender. If you want it a little chunky, the blender
So ours is kind of like, I would say this, to me, this would be chunky. Not quite as chunky as it was, but not like when you buy it in the store.
Yeah, in fact, it's got
really
texture.
Good.
In fact, it's got texture to it, like it's like there's still a little bit. You can still taste the apple. You can still texture. The apple's got texture to it still.
And you can see the little chunks of cinnamon, and it does. You can taste all the different apples. Like it's kind of tart, but sweet too, and kind of spicy from the cinnamon. It's really good. It turned out really good. So once again, we'll have all the information for the recipe during the video and after on our Facebook page so that you guys can make this applesauce at home for your family. And thank you for watching us. We'll be back for another show, so we will see you guys next time.
Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.